Clothing. Clothing. I wonder who made the first clothes.
God.
Oh yeah, God. After they got out of Eden. Anyway, let's talk about clothing. Yes. Good morning, beautiful people. It is Wednesday. Can we say Wednesday? I knew you could. Anyway, what's the clothing of a tree?
Leaves.
No, the bark.
Leaves are clothing.
Oh, I guess so. What's the clothing of an apple?
It's skin.
It's skin. What's the clothing of a dog?
His hair.
His hair, his fur. What's the clothing of a cat?
His cute little hair.
Yeah, fur. Yeah. So, animals and plants and trees have clothing to protect them from things and to help them grow and all that whole photosynthesis with the leaves. Isn't that amazing? All right. So, God clothes the animals. He clothes the fish of the sea. The fish have scales. He clothes the trees and the birds and the bees. There you go. So if we're not supposed to worry about food, we're not supposed to worry about time, then the logical conclusion is we shouldn't be worrying about
Our
clothes. There's some really interesting stories about clothes in the Bible. The first clothes were given by God to Adam and Eve so they would cover up their shame, their nakedness. John the Baptizer, he had animal, what was it?
I know 8 locusts. I don't know about it.
Sackcloth and 8 locusts and ran around like a wild man. Clothing in the Bible were kind of like togas, or really cool robes. Clothing has changed over the centuries. Just look at some of the trends and the fashions. It's going back to the 80s. Wish I still had my 80s stuff. But anyway, it's just really cool to me about clothing and the styles and the shapes and I don't know. And they have all industry. Like they go to Italy to do clothing. I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. But clothing is one of those things that we definitely have enough of. We have enough to clothe the whole world and around it a couple more times. For some reason, we get anxious about it, we get worried about it, and we hoard all these clothes. You know how many clothes you can wear a day, right? Just one pair. Like, how many clothes do you need and how many shoes do you need? But anyway, that's another subject. But here in Matthew chapter 6, verse 28 through 29, God says this. On the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus preaching to all these people. He says this, and why are you anxious about clothing? Why are you worrying about clothing? Stop that. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon, in all his glory, was not arrayed like one of these. He even compares the clothing of the lilies to Solomon, that it wasn't even close to Solomon. Why? Because, Solomon died. Riches went everywhere. People stole stuff. People are still looking for his treasure. He's dead and gone. He left it behind. Really cool thing about flowers and trees and the birds and the bees is that they have a cycle of life. And they go back to the ground, and the ground grows up new lilies, the ground grows up new trees, then those die, they go back to the ground, and it keeps going over and over and over and over again. And they get clothes, and they get sunlight, and they get food, and they get everything from God. And he says not even one of those is compared to Solomon. Not even one of those is compared to how he's going to take care of you. If you just don't worry about it. Now, we can seek clothing, we can seek food, we can seek those things and work for them and ask for them and help other people, yes. But it's when we put those above God, when we put those above our mindset, that clouds our mind with worry and anxious, and that we spend like millions of dollars on clothes, and yet people are going hungry and naked and in jail. See, our priorities have to be, he's talking here, priorities have to be, our heart has to be with God first. And then those things will take care of itself. But if our heart is not with God first, then we worry about all kinds of useless things that are just going to be destroyed. So my encouragement for you today is, are you thinking about money and clothing and food and all those things before God? Or are you trusting in God? I love you. Jesus loves you too. You have a great Wednesday. Goodbye.